The mysterious disappearance of the Sodder Children. The quiet town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, nestled in the Appalachian Mountains, was hardly the setting one would expect for an enduring mystery. But on Christmas Eve, 1945, the Sodder family's lives changed forever in a tragedy so enigmatic it remains unsolved to this day. George and Jenny Sodder were a hard-working couple of Italian descent, raising their 10 children in a modest two-story home. George owned a trucking business and was known for his strong opinions, particularly about Benito Mussolini, which sometimes sparked heated discussions among the local Italian immigrant community. Despite these occasional tensions, the Sodders were generally well regarded, and their lives were filled with the simple joys of family and home. That Christmas Eve began like any other. The Sodder children, ranging in age from 2 to 23, were excited for the holiday. The younger children pleaded with Jenny to stay up late and play with their new toys. She relented, allowing them to stay awake as long as they turned off the lights and locked the doors before going to bed. George, Jenny, and their 2-year-old Sylvia retired early, while the older children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, remained downstairs. The fire begins. At approximately 1 a.m., Jenny woke to a strange noise on the roof, a thud followed by a rolling sound. Thinking little of it, she drifted back to sleep, only to wake again moments later to the smell of smoke. Rushing out of bed, she discovered the office, where George kept his business papers, engulfed in flames. Frantically, Jenny woke George and their older sons. The family fled the house, but chaos ensued as they realized 5 children were still inside. George broke a window, cutting his arm, and tried to re-enter, but the dense smoke and flames drove him back. Desperately, he tried to use his ladder to reach the upstairs windows, but the ladder was mysteriously missing from its usual spot. He then attempted to start one of his trucks to drive it close to the house and climb atop it, but neither vehicle would start, despite having worked perfectly the day before. Neighbors called the fire department, but due to a shortage of manpower during the war and the outdated phone tree system, firefighters didn't arrive until hours later. By then, the house had been reduced to smoldering ashes. The search for answers. In the aftermath, George and Jenny were devastated to learn that no remains of the missing children were found in the rubble. Experts assured them that a fire hot enough to cremate bones would have destroyed other items, like metal appliances, which remained intact. This discrepancy planted the first seeds of doubt. Adding to the mystery, the Sodders noticed several suspicious details. The missing ladder was later found hidden in a nearby ditch. A telephone repairman discovered the house's phone line had been cut, not damaged by the fire as initially thought. A witness reported seeing a man stealing a block and tackle system from the property that night. Even more chillingly, a bus driver claimed to have seen strangers tossing balls of fire onto the Sodder roof, potentially the source of the thud Jenny heard. George and Jenny's suspicions grew when they learned of sightings of their missing children. A woman at a Charleston hotel reported seeing 4 of them with 2 unfamiliar men and women the morning after the fire. Another woman claimed to have seen them in a car with Florida license plates. Despite these reports, local authorities insisted the children had perished in the fire. A family's determination. Unwilling to accept this conclusion, the Sodders launched their own investigation. They hired private detectives who uncovered alarming details. One detective found a witness who claimed to have seen a man watching the Sodder house in the weeks leading up to the fire. Another discovered that a local insurance salesman, angered by George's outspoken criticism of Mussolini, had threatened him with arson just months earlier. Despite these leads, the police seemed disinterested, dismissing the Sodders' concerns as paranoia. The Sodders' most enduring effort was a billboard they erected along Route 16, just outside Fayetteville. Featuring photos of the 5 missing children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, it implored passers-by to come forward with information. The billboard became a local landmark and a testament to the family's relentless hope. haunting clues. Over the years, tantalizing clues continued to surface. In 1949, the Sodders had the site of the fire excavated by a pathologist who found fragments of vertebrae. However, these bones were determined to belong to someone older than the missing children and showed no signs of exposure to fire. The most enigmatic clue came in 1968, when Jenny received a letter postmarked from Kentucky. Inside was a photograph of a man in his 20s, bearing a striking resemblance to Louis. On the back was a cryptic note: Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. Elil boys, a 90132 or 35. The Sodders hired another detective to investigate, but he disappeared without a trace. Theories abound. Speculation about the Sodder children's fate has run rampant. Some believe they were kidnapped by a human trafficking ring or sold to an orphanage. Others suggest the fire was a targeted attack due to George's political views. Some even theorize the children were abducted by relatives or acquaintances seeking revenge. Despite these theories, definitive answers have remained elusive. The case's numerous inconsistencies, from the missing ladder to the unburned bones, have left investigators baffled. The Sodder family's steadfast belief that their children survived has only deepened the mystery. An unsolved legacy. George Sodder passed away in 1969, and Jenny in 1989, never knowing the truth about their children. The surviving Sodder siblings continued their parents' quest for answers, but the mystery has persisted for nearly 8 decades. Today, the case remains one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries, a chilling tale of tragedy, resilience, and unanswered questions. The Sodder children's story serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of hope. It is a tale that invites us to wonder, not just about what happened on that fateful Christmas Eve, but about the lengths we would go to for the ones we love.